Hi there, welcome. In this video, I want to talk about the challenges and benefits of couples therapy. This video is part of a series about the inner work space, what it is, what to expect, and how to get the most out of it. If you'd like to be notified when new videos are released, you can subscribe below. If you don't know me, I'm Julia Ferdal, and I help people transform unhelpful coping strategies at the root so they can build the life and the relationships they really want. My work draws on Buddhist teachings, Western psychology, and nature-based wisdom. And I've been guiding people through the inner world for about 15 years. I work with individuals as well as couples and other family pairs, including parents and children and siblings and even close friends who need to do some repair. So as you may know, if you've engaged in couples therapy before, couples work is really challenging. In fact, it can be an extra activating form of inner work. And this is because we tend to reenact childhood wounds with our intimate partners. Some theories say this is an unconscious effort to finally get it right, to resolve what couldn't be resolved before. So a person who grew up feeling dismissed, for example, may become disproportionately reactive when they feel unheard. Someone who learned early on that love could disappear may become extremely anxious and controlling or shut down when conflict arises. Another person may have learned that the emotional needs of others were unsafe to be around or burdensome, so they avoid vulnerability altogether. And so this attempt to be close, to feel seen and heard and safe and loved by another, it can bring up a lot of fears of not being seen and heard and safe or loved. And so the couple's space can get much more charged than individual inner work. That said, this also means that relationship work can help us heal our deepest wounds if held thoughtfully and therapeutically. Because when these wounds and fears come up in a compassionate, therapeutic space, and they are held with care and understanding, it can be quite a healing experience. Stories and circumstances from the past can be put back in the past where they belong. They can gently and patiently be disentangled from the current relationship when appropriate, so that people can respond to what is actually happening now rather than reacting from old pain. The goal is for the hurts and fears to be heard and addressed in healthy, healing ways. It's to help a person see how their choices are impacting their partner, and to invite compassion and change out of love, out of not wanting to have that impact, that negative impact on the person you love. We have to remember that nearly all of our emotional and psychological wounds are relational wounds. They are wounds to feeling physically, socially, and psychologically safe with another person, with someone close. And so, if held patiently, and if both individuals are truly willing to do the deep work that is couples work, and by that I mean willing to be compassionate, willing to look at themselves, and willing to change, if both individuals are willing to do that work, then deep healing and holding can happen in that couple's space. A person who expects rejection can experience trust and reliability in another. A person who has learned that closeness is an emotional burden can learn that it can actually be a balm. I would add that couples work, for hetero couples in particular, is extra charged right now because gender roles and expectations are rapidly changing, being deconstructed and reconstructed. So there's a lot to sort through. And doing so with someone who can hold a respectful and compassionate space for honest conversation can be immensely helpful. In the space I hold for people, I typically recommend a combination of couple sessions and individual sessions with each person. It's not a requirement, but it can be helpful because sometimes in the couple's space, something will start to emerge with one person and I'll want to dig into it with them, but I have to be sensitive to what's coming up for the partner while I do. And if one person begins feeling too vulnerable or too activated, the work can easily devolve and stop feeling safe if we aren't careful. Part of my role in that space is helping both people stay regulated enough to remain present and engaged when difficult truths are emerging. And if that doesn't seem possible in the couples setting, it helps to have another time and space to delve into more sensitive things one-on-one and then, bring it to the couple space. The individual work creates space for deeper exploration of things that may be harder to unpack in front of a partner. And then the couple space becomes a place to practice these new ways of communicating and relating in real time. And now that therapy and inner work are so much more normalized, it's becoming common for people to enter a couple's therapy space before they encounter major problems, which is so wonderful. It allows a couple to establish healthy ways to communicate, raise concerns, and make repairs early on before bad coping strategies become entrenched or do harm that is hard to forgive or can't be undone. Romantic partnerships are very complex, multi-layered relationships. They include physical and emotional intimacy, friendship, day-to-day domestic logistics, financial agreements, sometimes parenting as well, of course. So it's not easy to navigate all of those relationships with one person. So undoing any legacy maladaptive ways of relating, and by that I mean the coping strategies one brings to the relationship, and learning healthy relationship tools early on is a really smart thing to do. And as I said before, it can be deeply healing to the individuals if both parties are willing to do that work. So I hope that's helpful. And if you're looking for support with your relationship or for individual inner work, you can find more information about the work I do in the video description below. Thank you, as always, for being here. And remember, if you'd like to be notified when I post new videos, please be sure to subscribe below.